Imagine this. It's Thursday, day one of a small experiment. You climb a flight of stairs after a long meeting, a tight ping arcs through your calf, and you remember reading that 2 bananas add up to roughly 800 to 900 milligrams of potassium, about a solid chunk of what most adults actually manage to get in a day. You decide 2 bananas daily for 30 days. What would really change for your muscles, your recovery, and the quiet work of your bones? Plain language and research-based explanations ahead, with sources at the end. This is educational content and does not replace personal medical care. Muscle signals. That's the first idea that shows up by week 1. Potassium is one of the main drivers that helps nerves fire and muscles contract and relax. Inside every muscle cell, potassium and sodium trade places across the cell membrane, creating the small electrical difference that lets a muscle fiber respond on cue. When you consistently bring in potassium from foods like bananas, along with other sources such as beans, potatoes, leafy greens, you support that gradient. According to the National Institutes of Health's Office of Dietary Supplements, many adults do not reach the recommended potassium intake, and getting more from food is linked with healthier blood pressure and better overall electrolyte balance. If you're thinking, does that mean 2 bananas erase cramps? Hold that thought. Cramps are more complicated than a single mineral, not a silver bullet. A lot of people want the one food that stops cramps for good. The reality is that cramps often show up when several stressors collide: hard or unfamiliar exercise, heat, dehydration, low sodium from heavy sweating, and sometimes nerve fatigue. Medical guidance from Mayo Clinic and sports medicine groups highlights fluids and sodium replacement during long or hot workouts, good conditioning, and adequate rest as key levers, with potassium being part of the team rather than the star striker. So in week 1, as you add 2 bananas a day, you also start paying attention to basic hydration, clear to pale yellow urine most of the day, a glass of water with meals, and a pinch of salt with fluids if you're sweating for more than an hour. That combination is where people often feel fewer Charlie horses, not the banana alone. By the end of the first week, your routine has rhythm. 1 banana lands near activity, half an hour before a walk, a ride, or a resistance session, because easy-to-digest carbohydrates top off muscle glycogen. The other banana pairs with protein later, say Greek yogurt, eggs, or a small handful of nuts, so the natural sugars are folded into a balanced snack rather than a sugar spike. This matters for people watching blood glucose. Bananas bring fiber and naturally occurring sugars. Pairing with protein or fat slows absorption. Harvard-affiliated resources often remind us that whole fruit is generally fine for most people, yet personal responses vary. If you live with diabetes or prediabetes, check your numbers and talk to your clinician about portion and timing. Recovery you can feel. That's week 2. The quiet players in a banana, vitamin B6, a little magnesium, and soluble fibers like pectin, start to matter. B6 is involved in amino acid metabolism, a behind-the-scenes part of muscle repair. Magnesium participates in muscle relaxation and energy systems. Bananas aren't the richest source, but every bit helps when the whole diet is considered. The soluble fiber helps your gut bacteria produce short-chain fatty acids, which may support gut lining health and, indirectly, nutrient handling. Meanwhile, the potassium itself supports blood pressure regulation, which is relevant for recovery days. A well-regulated vascular system delivers oxygen and nutrients and clears metabolic byproducts more smoothly. You notice something mundane but important. Your post-activity snack is convenient. That matters because consistently hitting carbohydrates and fluids after activity shortens the window you feel heavy and flat. Sports nutrition groups have long recommended replenishing carbohydrates and fluids after longer sessions. Bananas are simply a practical way to do part of that without a wrapper or a shaker. And if you're training in heat, 2 bananas alone won't meet your needs. Pair them with water, and during long efforts, some sodium and a source of additional carbs. Think of the banana as a lever you can actually pull every day without fuss. Now let's look at the guardrails. If you have chronic kidney disease, if you take medicines that raise potassium, common examples include certain blood pressure drugs, such as ACE inhibitors, and ARBs, and potassium-sparing diuretics like spironolactone, or if you've been told to follow a low potassium plan, 2 bananas a day may be too much. In these situations, even otherwise healthy foods can add up to risky potassium levels, so you need individualized advice. And if you've ever had unusual reactions to latex or certain fruits, a latex fruit syndrome can occasionally cross-react with banana. Any tingling in the mouth, hives, or trouble breathing after fruit means stop and seek medical care. For everyone else, simple portion sense applies. Choose medium bananas most days and combine them with protein or yogurt when you want a gentler blood sugar curve. Bone-friendly pattern. By week 3, the experiment touches your skeleton in a way you cannot feel directly, but you can understand. Fruits and vegetables tend to be rich in potassium salts of organic acids, which the body metabolizes to bicarbonate. That gentle alkalizing effect can reduce the need to buffer acid loads by pulling calcium from bone, a mechanism described in nutrition and bone metabolism research. Clinical trials using potassium bicarbonate or citrate supplements have shown reductions in urinary calcium loss and in markers of bone breakdown over weeks to months, and observational research connects produce-rich eating patterns with better bone outcomes across time. A banana is not a bone pill, but as a daily part of a produce-forward plate, it nudges your overall diet toward that supportive acid-base balance. That's one of those changes that matter most in the long, quiet background of prevention. There's also the gut angle. Less ripe bananas carry more resistant starch, which acts as a prebiotic fiber and travels to the colon, where bacteria ferment it into short-chain fatty acids like butyrate. Those compounds may promote a healthier gut environment. Better gut health can support mineral absorption and overall resilience, including how you tolerate training and daily stress. Ripe bananas have more digestible starches and sugars and less resistant starch. Neither is good or bad, but you can choose based on your goals. Before a workout, a riper banana is often easier on the stomach. Earlier in the day, or when you're aiming for steadier energy, a less ripe banana in a smoothie with yogurt and cinnamon can be a nice option. How do you know it's working? You keep a simple log. For cramps, track frequency and severity with a quick 0 to 10 scale and the context: stairs, bedtime, mid-run. For recovery, note how your legs feel 24 hours after a session: heavy, okay, or springy, and how your sleep looks. For hydration, glance at your urine color in the morning and mid-afternoon. For the long game, record home blood pressure readings if that's part of your self-care. When people combine potassium-rich foods, adequate fluids, sensible sodium timing during long efforts, and regular conditioning, they often see steadier post-activity energy and fewer sudden cramps in hot conditions. That pattern aligns with guidance from sports medicine organizations and general clinical advice. What about too much? With food, the ceiling is usually self-limiting. 2 medium bananas provide roughly 800 to 900 milligrams of potassium, plus about 50 grams of carbohydrate, several grams of fiber, and a meaningful dose of vitamin B6. If you feel bloated, gassy, or notice looser stools, scale back and spread fruit through the day. If you track glucose, test different pairings: half a banana with a boiled egg, or a whole banana blended with plain yogurt, or a banana sliced over oats with some nuts. The goal is not to hit a banana quota. It's to use a familiar food to shift your daily pattern towards steadier electrolytes and smarter recovery. Small daily habit. Here's a crisp 3-step plan to run for 30 days. First, place 1 banana near activity, before or soon after, to support glycogen and bring in potassium when your muscles are most receptive. Pair the second banana with protein at a separate time. Second, lock in hydration. Water with meals and after activity. If you're sweating longer than an hour or training in heat, add sodium to fluids, or use an electrolyte mix, because potassium does not replace salt losses. Third, safety check. If you have kidney disease, take medicines that raise potassium or manage diabetes, confirm your targets and timing with your clinician, and adjust portions accordingly. You might be wondering, could I just eat different potassium foods instead? Absolutely. Beans, lentils, leafy greens, potatoes, tomatoes, oranges, and yogurt all contribute. The banana experiment is less about crowning a single fruit and more about making a habit you'll actually keep. Many people stick with bananas because they're portable, inexpensive, and predictable in taste and texture. Others rotate, banana on training days, potatoes or beans on rest days. The body doesn't care which potassium-rich food you choose. It cares that you do it consistently and pair it with the basics: movement, fluids, protein, overall produce. By day 30, what most people report is not fireworks, but friction reduction. Fewer surprise cramps after climbing stairs at night, easier post-walk mornings, steadier energy when chores stack up, and a sense that 2 bananas became a shorthand for put fuel and electrolytes where they matter. Along the way, you learn to read your signals and to combine your fruit habit with hydration and smart salt timing rather than expecting a single food to carry the whole load. Let's lock in the takeaways. First, steady potassium from real foods helps nerve and muscle function and may support healthier blood pressure over time. 2 bananas a day can be a practical slice of that for many people. Second, recovery improves most when you stack the basics: carbs around activity, fluids throughout the day, and sodium replacement during long or hot efforts. Third, bones pay attention to your overall pattern. Produce-rich, protein-sufficient meals shift your internal chemistry in a direction associated with less calcium loss and healthier markers of bone turnover. Tiny daily choices today can mean steadier steps, stronger lifts, and more confident movement with the people you love. If this helped, tell me how you'll run your 30-day plan, share this with a training buddy over 40, and subscribe so you don't miss tomorrow's heart protection routine. Educational note to close. Use this information to guide conversations with your own clinician. Never stop or change medications based solely on a video, and personalize portions and timing to your medical history.